WESH 2, Stuart Moore. Stu, you've been covering this since this morning, since the overnight hours. So welcome inside here to the building. Stu, what a day. I think I especially could speak for many of us here that we were just so taken back by the moment that it was you and Bob Keeling and the local mom here that just embraced you. Just wanted a shoulder to cry on, Stu.
Yeah, it was a tough situation, and I actually just spoke to that mom within the past half hour. And we've been working behind the scenes to try and get that information to the viewers so that you could all hear exactly the different pain that she is going through. And just to mention, I want to run through the list of the people who passed away really quickly, because it's a big focus on these names and then also dealing with her son as well. So here's the list: Luis Omar Ocasio Capo, Juan Ramon Guerrero. That name right there, that was her son's boyfriend who was shot multiple times inside of the nightclub at the time. They were sitting right next to each other. Juan Ramon Guerrero was her son's boyfriend, and he died at ORMC, is what she is telling me. Eric Ivan Ortiz Rivera, and then two others, Stanley Almodovar III and Edward Sotomayor Jr. We've got several of their names that we've posted inside WESH.com, but this mom tells me that she has still not learned anything about the whereabouts of her son at this point. And while that's troubling, she also says not hearing anything still gives her a small bit of hope. She tells me that since she has not heard that her son has passed away, she's going to continue to think that her son could be one of those people that's still unidentified inside the OR. But this morning, you remember, she did jump over and give us an interview. And as soon during the middle of that interview, she just reached out, and I happened to be there, and she started hugging me. But we just spoke to her a short time ago, and here's what she had to say.
Down almost. Well, all the victims at the hospitals other than Orlando Health have already been matched with their family. And almost all the patients at Orlando Health have been matched with their family. There's a couple that are still in ER, or not ER, OR, that they're unidentified yet. They haven't matched. So that's my sliver of hope.
Are you still here in Orlando?
No, I went home to Polk County.
Is there a way, and I know it's quite an emotional journey, is there a way that I can, because so many people have reached out, can I come to you tonight and just speak with you?
No.
Okay.
I've already taken some night meds. I slept like 3 hours last night, and then I've been up and about since 3 in the morning, so I just took some night meds. I don't know how much I'm going to sleep, but however much I can sleep, if I can sleep 10 minutes at a time, an hour at a time, I'm going to try to sleep all through, just try to get as much sleep as I can within the next 9-hour period or 8-hour period. If I can get 4 or 5 hours of sleep in a 8 or 9 hour period, then tomorrow morning I can start heading to spend the day in Orlando, making contacts with my son's friends, and then hitting wherever I have to go. If I have to hit the mayor's office or go find out who's the head of FBI and get some answers as to where my son is. And if he didn't survive, where my son's body will be.
Yeah. It's okay if I use your voice and what we're saying to update people, right? Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And I would be just me and you were there when those people started getting trucked in and the situation just went crazy.
4 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, ma'am. And I mean, I know what I felt, but I can't imagine what you felt just seeing that happen. How much hope do you have that your son will be one?
I don't have hardly any hope. I have the most sliver of hope. I'm a realist, and his boyfriend was killed. He was sitting right next to his boyfriend, and they were sitting where they would have got a large amount of bullets. Because that's where the It was sitting right in the front, right where the gunman would have come in and started shooting. So they wouldn't have had a chance to jump under things. And if they were hit with an automatic gun, those bullets are very piercing and they explode in your body. And then, because when we were there at 4 o'clock, before I got to the emergency room, the first stop, I was looking for the hospital, and a cop had told me this other route, so I ended up by the Pulse. And there was one car sitting there, and it was 4 o'clock. It happened at 2, and he said they were waiting for the SWAT team. It seemed a little ridiculous to wait, and then they didn't go in until 5, so they waited 3 hours. And if my son turns out to be on the floor of the club, and he has a minimal of damage, and he could have been saved had, maybe he would have lived 2 hours, but they waited 3. That's going to be even harder to take.
Yeah, I can't. Just knowing what those people that were rescued in the end. I mean, we know they had to sit there for 3 hours. So, where do you turn next? What have you been leaning on just for helping and understanding all of this?
I don't know how. I don't even know how I am going to understand different things. I'm someone who likes to understand things. So I like to research it, get information in it, rationalize, intellectualize. I don't know. But the sad thing is, I want to be mad. I would want to really hate someone. I like to hate him and want to just punch him out. But maybe had he, terrorist, maybe had he lived, I might have hated him. I don't know. But I don't have any hate. I understand how the whole world goes around. I think we have solutions that we can share. We know we have hatred. So that alone, you wouldn't throw, fire on, gasoline. You don't do that. You keep them separate. They both have their purpose, but you keep them separate. So we know we have hatred. Why we're giving automatic weapons, knowing we have this hatred? We can do this. I mean, I'm not mad. I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged that we can actually solve this. It's solvable and I'm a licensed attorney, and I love the Constitution, and I love the First Amendment, I love the freedom of the press, and I love the Second Amendment. I want people to have guns, of course. They can hunt, they can protect themselves, they can use it as a sport. Of course I want people to have guns. But these automatic weapons, with the type of hatred that we have, it seems inconsistent. But this is our personality. We're not going to go back and be this different personality or society. We're a society that there is hate. It just is. So since there is, maybe they can remedy that, and if they do, maybe then bring back the automatic weapons. But since there is hate, and we know there's hate, I think we can say, let's suspend the sales of automatic weapons. If society then improves, and it doesn't seem like it's as hateful of a society, bam, then bring them back. Don't necessarily take them away, but I think we can make changes.
Do you?
I think it's doable.
Obviously, you're already talking about the gun issue, and that's going to be a major part of this. Do you see yourself fighting for that for the rest of your life?
I don't know if I want to be like an active member of a club to stop things from happening. I have my own just recent health issues. I have tumors on my ovaries, and ovary cancer is a very deadly cancer. So I just got scheduled for surgery, and Christopher was going to be my right-hand man for the surgery, and I was going to be hospitalized anywhere from 2 to 10 days. And if they found any cancer, of course, they'd have to take it out, and if it was cancer throughout my abdomen, they'd have to take a lot of cancer out and then stage me and tell me how terminal I was. So that's what I was facing, and I just called Chris. 6 o'clock on Saturday and said, hey, I got all the details on the surgery. So I ran it by him, and he's always been my right-hand man. And, now I'm obviously going to have to be scheduled, but with me having that health issue, I doubt that I would, but maybe someone, if I reschedule my surgery and my surgery goes well and it's benign, then I'm going to come back stronger than ever. I won't be weakened at all. It'll be a very easy recovery. And at that point, I may want to, because there's this thing that saying, it's on my Facebook, some people are born great, which I wasn't born great, and then the other part is some people achieve greatness, and I've never been that kind of overachiever. But then there's the third part is some people have greatness thrust upon them. They don't want it, they don't look for it, but it gets not thrown at them, but really thrust on them. And if my son doesn't survive, and I can, intellectually be a person who can lend a voice to a issue, if I could do that, and I have the strength, then potentially I would.
And again, you just listened to my phone conversation with Christine Leinonen. She's the mother who this morning, guys, during a live interview, she reached out and grabbed and hugged me. And so many viewers have been asking about her throughout the day if she's been able to find her son. Her son's name still has not popped up on any website. She's still not learned anything from authorities. But she went back down. She lives in Polk County. She's going to get some rest. And so she's going to be back here first thing in the morning. So,
Stu, you were there. What time did you get to Pulse nightclub this morning?
I got to downtown Orlando in that area around 3 o'clock this morning, and then I started releasing the details about 2:45 when I first learned about this incident. Got down there about 3 o'clock, and then that's when I first pulled up to that 7-Eleven, which is going to be one of the media staging areas, and saw some young men there who were crying. And then the further and closer I got to the nightclub, more and more people.
And then, Stu, you went to another location near the hospital, and I remember watching, and there was a young girl, I think that she was holding a juice or water, and you said, hey, do you mind talking to us? But it seems like she was inside of the building when all of that happened,
Yeah,
correct?
I mean, she had blood on her clothing as she walked by, and she came from the hospital. So, we saw so many people, especially when I first arrived, who were carrying others to get inside of the hospital. And it was one of those moments where you're seeing this happen and you're not truly grasping what you're witnessing. And so they're helping get people into the hospital because it was so close, which helped. But because just the tremendous amount of casualties, there's not enough emergency vehicles that you can get down that street and back in that amount of time. Whereas if you can just run them down there.
Witnessing that, I mean, I can't imagine what the people that were inside the nightclub must have experienced, but even being outside and seeing bodies being taken with severe injuries, I mean, must have been extremely difficult, Stu.
I mean, it was difficult, but I think that even seeing those people, because they were able to get from a quarter mile away to actually get to where they were going. So somebody was helping them, but they were conscious enough to see that. what was worse for the people that were at the scene and at the hospital was when the incident actually ended at Pulse, and they started bringing those patients out and carrying those patients and putting them on the back of those trucks and putting them in the back of those squad cars and in the ambulances that were available, and they rushing them in, and then as soon as they pull up, you know, their sirens are going everywhere on a street that's closed because there are people walking in it, and they zoom by and they're grabbing these people and then pulling them off the truck. Some of their bodies were lifeless at that moment, and they're throwing them on gurneys, and there's 20 doctors waiting outside for the next group of people to come in, the next group of patients. And you're just hopeful, and you're standing with those parents, and they're all hopeful that their kid is the one that's screaming and not the one who's not saying anything and being put on a gurney.